everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's Theta Talks. My name is Maisha and we are here to talk a little bit about theta healing. We have a special guest today. Her name is Divya Jagtiani. She is a student, she is a client, and she is soon to be a published author. So I'm very excited to invite her to join us. Are having her back for a second time. She joined us very short while ago. Hello. Let me
Hello.
fix this, adjust. Okay, there. I can see you and me. So, welcome back. This is very quick for you to come back
Yes, I'm excited.
because we have some exciting news, don't we, Divya?
Such exciting news. I haven't been this excited since I saw Taylor Swift in concert.
Wow. So this is exciting for us too because you've been part of the Theta Healing journey for quite a while, and that
Mm.
kind of brought you to where you are. Who has now, can we say now or soon to
Yep,
be published?
we can
Now
say
a
now.
published author.
This
Yay!
is the
Oh
book.
wow. Very nice. Can't wait to
Thanks.
read it. Okay. So Divya,
Yes.
we have a lot to unpack. I know we were talking about 30 minutes and trying to squeeze in, but this topic that we are going to discuss is actually quite a very big topic. Now, the reason I say that is because it appeals to all age groups,
Mm.
right? Especially, and this is more towards women, but all age groups. Women have who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even post-menopause, right? So I'm really excited to read your book because I'm kind of heading towards there, but I wished, this would have come out earlier so I could have prepared myself. So before
Mm.
we get into all of that, I want to ask a little bit about how did you come up with, what is your story behind the book?
Now that's a good question. So, this is my new book. It's called Glow Through the Change, and it's coming out on Amazon. So, I will be linking after this live in the comments the link for you to purchase it. You get on the priority list, and it's coming out on the 30th of September. So if you're on the
Mm.
list, you get 50% off, plus the digital copy of the book and an exclusive bonus. So
Wow.
sign up to it. It's definitely worth doing that ahead of the 30th of September. So going back to this book, right? Glow Through the Change is an invitation to reclaim your body and choose how you navigate aging.
Mm.
And this is a topic that concerns a lot of people, a lot of women. So 30% of women now are currently going through menopause, whether that's perimenopause, menopausal symptoms, and that's a huge proportion of the population, right? And it doesn't matter where you are in your age groups, like we were discussing 30s, 40s, 50s. You start to notice these changes, and no one really knows what to do about it.
Yeah.
So, this is the book for women who are interested in slowing down the aging process. It is not a medical, dense textbook with a one size fits all approach to aging. And I have to be very clear about that. This is a holistic approach. It's for the women who are concerned with prevention rather than reacting to the changes. And I think that's a
Mm.
very important value I have,
Mm.
taking autonomy and control when you start to see symptoms appear before getting into a situation when they start to happen to you and you're not sure at that point what to do about it. So the approach was to flip this narrative that menopause or aging is something difficult and uncomfortable. And I've seen that because my mother did struggle with some of these symptoms, which I'll divulge a little bit later. So I
Mm.
initially wrote it for her, then I wrote it for my future self, And then I wrote it for all women because fundamentally there's no guide or holistic approach on how to navigate changes because you might not even be aware of what's happening to you. You might not even notice
Yeah.
these shifts. And
Yeah.
so my message is start now. Get this conversation going. Start early. Be proactive and not reactive. And that's the basis for this book.
Yeah. I think a lot of the times you don't hear about the information till you're there, right? Our parents went through it, or, it seemed like a blip to us, right? So now I'm 45 and I'm already feeling some of these so-called, symptoms, and I didn't really understand or know, what was going on. Like it was more difficult for me to lose weight. I go to the gym, I eat well, I try to increase my protein, everything that is said, you
Hmm.
should do this, you should do that. I've been trying to do it, but it's been a very, very tough journey on that one. And in terms of emotions as well and managing that. And I mean, I've been lucky enough to not have like the flashes or hot flushes or anything like that. And I'm pretty early on, right? So I feel like if I had known this earlier, like you're saying, it's for your future self, that it would have made quite a big of a difference in terms of how I am handling what I'm handling now, which is now it's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden everybody's talking about perimenopause. It's everywhere in my feed. And I'm like, somebody's talking about this and that. I'm like, where did this come from? Right. But it's kind of always been there. But nobody has really packaged it and put it together into something where, we can understand as a whole. So I'm really excited about reading your book. Tell me a little bit more about how you got into, you mentioned a little bit about your mom and how this came about. So can you
Sure.
expound a little bit on that?
Of course. So I think before we delve in any further, we should start with describing what is menopause, right?
Mm,
Very important because some people might not know exactly what the definition is, what is perimenopause. So, menopause is 12 consecutive months when a woman doesn't menstruate. And this can take place between 45 to 55, but the average age at the moment is 51.
mm,
Okay. So perimenopause are menopausal symptoms in the lead up to menopause that can start as early as 30s all the way till about 40s, right? And everybody has different bodies, so it's not linear, right?
yeah.
And what's fascinating and frustrating is that these symptoms are so varied between individuals. Like you just mentioned, right? You haven't had hot flushes
Mm,
or flashes, whatever,
mm,
it depends per country, right? I call it hot flush. Hot flash is the same thing. But just because you haven't exhibited a symptom, you might have had other symptoms, right?
yeah.
And so what was happening is my mum, she started having one-off symptoms, okay? And she was getting increasingly frustrated, as you would. And I felt a little bit, I was a lot younger then, and I felt a little bit not compassionate, to be
Mm,
honest. Because when
mm.
someone says, oh, it's the menopause, and you're not in that phase, you kind of think, oh, goodness, or oh, I don't
It's an
understand what's happening.
excuse. It's an excuse,
It's an
even, right?
excuse. It's an
Almost an
excuse,
excuse.
right?
Yeah.
And that made me feel quite sad because I won't delve into the story, but there is a very heart-wrenching story at the beginning of the book
Mm,
where my mum was exhibiting very difficult hot flush symptoms. And she was increasingly frustrated because it didn't matter how many times she showered, she just was very uncomfortable, very sweaty.
mm,
And what we noticed is that she'd have a symptom, there wouldn't be anything for a while, and then she'd have another symptom and there wouldn't be anything for a while. And so the idea was to start pattern spotting and putting these pieces together. There's no such thing as a headache in isolation. There's no such thing as
Mm-hmm.
a hot flush in isolation. There's no such thing as a frozen shoulder in isolation. So, what you've described is amazing, not because of what the symptoms are, but the fact that you are tapping in and noticing
Yeah.
what is happening within your body.
Mm.
So, you're fully aware of this doesn't feel right,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't feel normal. What am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
I'm noticing these shifts. And it's interesting because at that time, when you go to a doctor, wherever you are in the world, they just treat the symptom in isolation.
Mm.
But if you don't have knowledge that that is not normal, or that's not normal for my body, then you're not going to look into
Yeah.
what's happening to you.
Yeah.
So the idea is to raise awareness, which is why when I started writing this book, aging can happen at any time. Doesn't matter whether you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. Your skin changes, your body changes, your mindset may change, your emotional well-being may
And it's
change, right?
inevitable, like you said, you know.
Inevitable,
Yeah. Yeah.
inevitable. But I looked at it from a different approach because one of the things that's not talked about enough is prevention.
Mm.
And in traditional Chinese medicine, it's believed that a woman's body starts to change at 35. Okay.
Right.
So if you can imagine at 35, you are at your peak vitality.
Mm.
And from that point onwards, your body starts to exhibit or show signs of aging. So that means from 35 till potentially 45 to 55, when you go through menopausal symptoms, you have about 10 years to implement practices that are going to influence how you age. And
Right.
that is a topic that is not talked about.
Mm.
Because the reality is, if everyone knew that they had the ability to slow down this process, I'm not saying you won't age, aging is inevitable, change is inevitable. But it's that distinction, the lead up to when your
Mm.
body starts to change, when you can take control and have a
Yeah.
little bit of that reclaiming of, I would say, control, because it's true. All of the choices you make are a reflection of how you live your life and how your body reacts, right?
Yeah. And
So it's that part.
is it possible to, um, like you mentioned, you know, there are these age ranges, right? So if we
100%.
do start early, right,
Yes.
is it possible to extend that, you know, 51, 52, like, is it possible to move that down?
100%. 100%. And there
Mm.
are studies now, and some of them I mentioned in this book, where in Japan, for example, so every race and culture has different experiences with menopause. And it can be down to diet, lifestyle, stress
Right.
levels. It's an entire 360 approach. But
Mm-hmm.
if menopause was linear and if everyone had the same symptoms, then it would be like when you hit this age, you experience this symptom. But
Yeah.
that's not the case. So, for
Yeah.
example, in Japan, because of the way their lifestyle is and their diet, they actually don't exhibit some of the same symptoms that
Mm-hmm.
someone, let's say, in the West might exhibit a lot earlier on. And
Right.
so these studies are starting to unpack what are the differences and what are they doing differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so from about 35, I would encourage, I'm not saying everyone should do it. These are for the people that are open to making small, meaningful changes, to start looking at what are you thinking about? What's your
Mm.
mindset? Are you someone that constantly stresses and worries? Are you burying your feelings? That's your emotional well-being. What are
Yeah.
you doing movement wise?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you eating? What is the
Mm.
quality? You mentioned protein. Fantastic, amazing. But these are just like small changes that you
Mm-hmm.
can start to implement. And in the book, I have created a menopause symptoms tracker, which I would
Right.
encourage everyone from 35, even younger onwards, to start tracking what is happening. Are you having heavy periods? Are you having light
Is
periods? Are
there
you missing
something
your
that you
periods?
found in terms of the symptoms where you were like, This is a menopause. Like, is there something out of the ordinary that you could share with us that is something that, which is probably or can be um, something that's leading up to a symptom of peri or menopause?
100%. So there, I've expressed on this platform before about my personal stories. I don't want to delve into it, but when I was experiencing burnout, for example,
Mm-hmm.
as a lawyer, I started to notice that I was aging quicker. And a couple
Mm-hmm.
of symptoms for me was I started graying a lot quicker. I started getting
Right.
gray hairs in the front.
Right.
That's a sign of aging. My menstruation changed. It started
Mm.
getting either very heavy or very light.
Right.
Another symptom. A lot of bloating,
Mm.
random bouts of bloating. And then your emotional well-being as well is affected. You could become
Yeah.
forgetful. That's another symptom.
Right.
Other ones include difficulty sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
very subtle, but it's present.
Yeah.
And then you might notice temperature shifts or temperature changes in the body. I found that I was getting either very hot very quickly or very cold very quickly.
Right.
And that's when your body starts to dysregulate in terms of estrogen levels, right?
Yeah.
Some women experience hair, as in
Mm.
hair growth. You might get hair growth in places you've not had hair growth before. That's a
Mm.
very clear indication that there's something going on there. So they're
Hormonal.
very
Yeah.
subtle, but it is apparent that there
Mm.
is bouts of, and also fatigue, a
Mm.
really underrated but very valid symptom. You'll
Mm.
get tired quicker. And that's another one I noticed within my body.
So why do you think that this hasn't been talked about? Why do you think that it's not
Oh,
something that has been? I was just thinking about, everybody, it's inevitable. Everybody does experience it. So it's so interesting how up to date or up to, the current, topic, it's not really been written about or spoken about or talked about. What do you think is the reason why? Is it because it's an accepted, it's a norm? Is it something that is not believed? Is it like an excuse thing? What do you think it is?
I personally think that it's economical. I
Mm,
think that the propaganda and marketing is designed to encourage women to spend.
right.
So if someone told you that you had autonomy in order to manage your own symptoms, you
Mm,
would not go to a nutritionist or dietitian. You
right.
would not go to a doctor. You would
Mm,
not be taking these supplements. And if you're in the workplace, and let's say you are in corporate situation, it's not allowing you to be productive. Because if
mm,
every woman said, I'm experiencing these symptoms, then it would be to acknowledge that there's something taking place,
right.
and that would be a deterrent to the workplace. But more
Right.
importantly, for some reason, people don't want women to know that
Mm,
you can delay aging because the
mm.
entire industry is designed around, you're laughing, but it's so
Anti-aging.
true.
No, it's true.
The
Everything is
the
all about
biggest
the
skincare
creams,
label
the
in the
yeah.
world is anti-aging. And can I tell you a secret?
Mm,
Anti-aging is not a defined term in skincare. It doesn't
no.
mean anything. So you don't have the recognition of organic, but that's another topic. I'm not going to
Mm,
veer in that direction.
right.
My point is, they don't want women to know. And by
Mm,
they, let's leave it open.
mm,
I think that if women knew exactly how to take autonomy and delay the aging process, it would be amazing because you'd realize that actually you have the tools to do it.
yeah.
And I guess that's why I've written this, because I think it is possible to delay aging. And I have already started that process,
Yeah.
and it is a visible change
Mm,
as
yeah.
well as an energetic change,
Because you
both ways.
mentioned you had all these symptoms, and now
Yeah,
on maybe using yourself as the guinea pig
an
or applying
example.
it on yourself, right? It has really created that shift. A lot of your symptoms are no longer. How do you feel?
they're no longer there, but
Mm,
it's also about it's a measure of vitality. And that's
mm,
a really interesting concept because one of the things that's talked about, and I feel very strongly about, is about tapping into your divine femininity. It's going from being an enduing and active energy of masculinity to kind of stepping back and being a little bit more introspective.
mm-hmm,
And when women go through aging, there needs to be that introspective period to kind of understand who you are, what's going on, what's showing up, and more importantly, what are you ignoring
mm,
in your body? Because your body is always signaling to you what you're overlooking. And whenever you overlook a symptom, you're saying to your body that you don't love and you don't respect it.
right.
And every time you don't show up for your body, it's going to change and it's going to age quicker.
Yeah. And I think also in line with, I mean, our belief systems and our programmings and, our we never knew or thought that it was really possible, because everybody ages, right? Everybody goes through it, right? So it's kind of also unlearning what we have seen and learned and creating a reality where now, wait a minute, it is possible, right? Maybe that needs to shift. And I want to go a little bit more into we talked about the symptoms, right? We talked about the hot flushes, we talked about the graying of the hair, the physical aspect of things, and we touched a little bit about the forgetfulness. And can we explore a little bit more about any of the belief systems? Like, you tend to lose confidence when you are aging and you don't know what's going on and things are happening to you, right? What are some things that you notice that women go through, which is more about their beliefs or emotional versus the physical?
I don't feel attractive anymore.
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't feel, I don't know who I am.
Mm,
Because you always have to remember when you shift identities, it's that unnerving, scary feeling of not really recognizing who you are anymore.
yeah.
Or is it looking in the mirror and noticing a wrinkle, noticing
Mm,
smile lines, and kind of not feeling like you identify with the labels that you've given yourself?
yeah.
So if you've been a caregiver, a lot of women during menopause start to have children that are grown up. They no longer, they're sort of shifting in their life as
Yeah.
well as in their bodies. So there's no safety or security.
Mm,
And so those are the beliefs that come up. And a lot of it is to do with confidence.
yeah.
And it's not just about portraying confidence, it's about understanding who you are and your self-worth and who you were before you had all these labels.
Yeah. And so when you understand this, right, then it makes the journey smoother because it's not like you're not the same person and you have changed per se. It is you changing with the flow and slowing down and knowing that there's some things you can control because we tend to feel helpless at this age. I remember a couple of times where I felt so overwhelmed in terms of I just felt I couldn't handle the stress, and this is totally not me. It's like I'm telling my husband that it's just so stressful, I cannot handle this, and for him looking at me like, what happened to her, right? And I hear a lot of divorces, a lot of separations happen around this time period where there's all these shifts as well, right? So if we can not only understand our own body and shift that, but we can also, through your book, help, the men or other people understand a little bit more. I think that will really help shift and create that shift that we need.
In traditional Chinese medicine, exactly what you described, menopause is known as second spring. It's a
Mm,
renewal, it's a rebirth. So it's almost like for women, you are transforming. You're not changing, you're just transforming who you were. And it needs to be kind of repurposed or repackaged into a way of, like you said, understanding that you are changing, and changing
Mm,
is good, changing is normal. But it's more than that. It's about, what are you doing for you? What is your self-care rituals? How are you connecting to yourself? Because
mm,
when you start to age, you're, in a woman's body, you're losing estrogen, right? Now, this
mm,
hormone you've had your entire life. It governs everything more than menstruation. This is your vitality. This is your energy. This is something that, from the time that you get your period, it's regulating your body, right?
yeah.
So now I'm taking away something that you've had
Mm,
in your body for so many years. And you're
yeah.
just expected to carry on and pretend that it's normal and you're okay and you're fine. And so it's about opening up this awareness, or the conversation and comfortability, for women to go, you know what? I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And also, you are not alone. I'm going to say that
Mm,
again. You are not alone. Because if women are more compassionate and forgiving and understanding to other women, we start to talk about these feelings and what you're saying. And it becomes more of, let's get through it, rather than, I don't know what to do. I'm going to bury my head in the sand. I'm just going to like sit back and watch this unfold.
yeah. And I love how you described it as a rebirth, right? Versus this feeling of being lost. It's just you're turning into something, somebody that is shifting and changing in terms of spring or the season, right? And it's about wearing different clothes, or doing things differently for yourself, right? If you are uh with that rebirth comes also different things that you need to do for yourself, and going back into taking care of yourself, which is beautiful. I love how you put that, right?
So a
So,
couple of, oops, sorry, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead. There was
I was
questions.
gonna
Yeah.
say,
Oh.
the kind of shifts or the kind of practical tools, in case anyone is wondering, it's about, or prevention steps, just as an overview, right? You need to start tracking your sleep. We
Mm.
often overlook sleep, but the idea in this book is you become your own sleep specialist. Are you optimizing your sleeping schedule? Are you taking control of what you're eating in your body? Have you done the analysis to check what foods are agreeing with you, what is not agreeing with you? And these
Because
are going
that
to
changes
change
as
as you
well.
age.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I've heard a
So
lot of people getting allergies,
you
right?
need to be checking in. Is
Mm-hmm.
this food working for me now? It might have worked for your entire life, but right now it's not working. Okay, we
Yeah.
need to adapt. Another one is, how are you showing up for yourself? What are your self-care rituals? Are you in alignment with things or beliefs or values that you may have changed or developed over these years? Are you
Mm-hmm.
doing something that fills you with joy, your ikigai, your purpose? How do you implement 5 to 10 minutes of self-care every day? What are you doing for your skin? So it's really a holistic 360 overview of what you could do, with you in control of all of the choices you make. I'm not directing anyone in this book to take a specific approach. It's, this is the tools, this is the information. You figure it out, because it's your body. And
Pick and
that's the
choose.
difference
Yeah.
between reading a book on menopause and aging, where they kind of go, these are the things you need to be doing. Because actually, with the approach that my mum took, she couldn't use HRT. The
Mm.
reality was, she had an allergic reaction to a anti-inflammatory drug. And so for
Right.
her, she couldn't go through the recommendations that the doctors were telling her. And
Mm.
so it opened up this topic of, well, what else can you do? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if you can't take HRT, then what happens? What happens to you, right? And so it's an exploration of figuring out what's going to work for you. And if any, my takeaway from this is everyone is responsible for your own body. So if even if you don't have the symptoms now, pass this book on to someone else who may benefit from it so that they know what to do.
No, absolutely. And just for the audience, what type of, I know you said that you can pick and choose, right? Time investment, because sometimes I think people like, oh my God, there might be so many things I have to do, right? To get to this place where I can see some results, right? Is it
Mm.
something that you can do and you can see instantly? Is it about spending 15 minutes or like what are we talking about in terms of investment of time?
That's a good question. I would say that this opens up a possibilities of all the different avenues you can do. But
Mm,
fundamentally, you would want to be doing one thing in each of the categories. So
right.
it needs to be something to do with your nutrition, it needs to be something to do with your
Mm,
sleep, it needs to be something to do with your skincare, it needs to be something to do with your emotional well-being. And the reason is, if you think of health and well-being, it's not about applying a cream on your face and going, oh, my skin's glowing and beautiful. It's a lot deeper than that
yeah.
because obviously skin is my specialty. And when we look at skincare and people who have conditions such as rosacea, acne, dry skin, the myriad of all the different skin conditions, it's always down to your emotional well-being
Yeah.
if we're going deeper, and that's something we've
Mm,
obviously talked about in theta healing, right?
yeah.
It's always to do, the physical symptom is a manifestation of your emotional thinking or mentality.
Mm,
And so that's why, to answer your question, it's not about picking one of these things and going, that's not working. I'm not going to invest in this any further.
mm,
You need to look at yourself like a project. How are you going to tap into a entire practice or entire ritual where it no longer becomes an isolated ritual, it becomes part of your lifestyle. This is a
right.
lifestyle approach to aging.
Mm,
And so that's why I've already said at the beginning as a disclaimer, this is not for the person who's not committed to
mm,
taking small, meaningful steps somewhere in your day to day to progress or to make these changes. This is a long term approach.
right. Good.
And for
And you
some,
could
it can take 5 minutes. For some, it can take an hour. It's whatever's up to you, how long you're willing to invest in your body.
right, right. Makes sense. So, for our audience who is excited, can you just do a recap? Your book is coming out on the 30th of September. Can you
Yes.
tell us what do you have
So
in store? So that is your book.
this is the
And
book. It's
yeah,
called Glow Through the Change.
hmm
Not go through the change, glow through the
glow
change.
through the change.
Yes.
Nice. And so it's coming
And
out on the 30th. Can you give us
it's
some details? You said you had some exciting discounts and promos and so tell us all about it.
sure. So if you sign up to the priority list, you get 50% off on launch day. This book is coming out on Amazon, and you also receive a digital copy of the book. So you've got it in PDF form. You can read it on the go. You don't have to carry the physical book with you. And for the first 20 people who sign up to the priority list, you're going to have an exclusive Zoom call with me with
Wow.
some of my little secrets and know-how on the best tips in this book and a little gua sha ritual
Oh,
because I do gua
amazing.
sha as well. And gua sha is one of the most incredible tools for reversing aging, not just on your face, you can use it on your body as well.
Amazing. So do you have that also in the book in terms of instructions?
Oh, I think it's frozen a
Oh,
little bit.
there we
Hi, you
go. We're
back?
back. Yes, I was
I
saying,
was
do you
saying
have that in the book, like what we need to do as
yes,
well? Oh,
yes,
yay.
it's all
Okay.
in there. It's all very exciting. And these are tips and tricks which aren't influencer trends. This is
Mm,
the really authentic approach and the traditional methods of what to do. So I'm very excited because I don't think these have been released before.
Amazing. I am very excited and I'm so happy for you on your journey from lawyer to client to theta healer to now having your book. So excited. So please buy Divya's book, do the pre-order
Please.
ready. Let's get her on the top list, right? And support her because, as you can tell, she really knows her stuff. She has done so much research in every aspect, and I am grateful for you and your time, Divya, for being here
Oh.
again.
And I would like to thank Maisha because for everyone watching, she has seen this entire journey of myself unfold. And without theta healing, I'm going to be very honest, I don't think I would have been able to sit down, write a book, put the effort, put the hours in, and just get to this stage. So I wanted to say thank you because
Oh,
without theta healing, I really don't think I'd be here today with a book coming out in a week, which is
amazing.
incredible. I'm so excited.
Amazing. I see your mom saying, Yay, so amazing. How lovely. All right. So I look forward to it again. So please do. There's going to be a link at the end so that you guys can already get into the top 20 priority list. Okay. So this has been a real eye opener. Really enjoyed the session. I'm so excited.
Amazing.
Awesome. So I will see you soon, Divya. Can't wait to get
Sounds
your book.
good. Thank you, everyone. Hope this was helpful. Bye.
Bye for now.